Hello, everyone. This is Keshia Martin. I hope all is well. I have a very special guest. It's the beginning of November. Can you believe it already for 2018 that we are already at the end of the year? And I have a special guest with me once again. Her name is Lydia McCarty. And I loved our session so much last month, that we decided that, hey, we're going to keep doing this thing. And it's been crazy, like the levels of insight and how much this actually interconnects to the things that you guys hear me speak about. I speak about love, we talk about connections, allowing the ascension, all of that wonderful stuff. And understanding how it all fits in, I just found that this is a beautiful piece to put in together with the astrological signs, how the planets move around and the energies, how it affects us. It's just like, wow.
Mhm.
And as much as I used to like watch and read like my horoscope and everything like that, it's a whole other level when you're hearing the information after you've experienced something and then realize there's a synchronistic pattern to your whole thing. So, Miss Lydia, please say hello.
Hello, everyone. I'm so happy to be here, and I'm so happy to talk about Jupiter, which is one of one of many planets and celestial bodies that is going to be changing signs this month and changing energies. So, yeah.
Awesome. And with Jupiter changing signs, how just can you give us like a quick recap of like what the energy was last month so that we have like a reference point to connect to this one?
Right. Well, planets are each they each carry different archetypes that are present in the being of the collective unconscious. And the planets, they don't really make us do anything. They're more of, because the universe is holographic, so they're interconnected. So they're more of a reflection of what's happening with us on a collective and on an individual level. And so Jupiter is the part of us that seeks faith and understanding in life. It's called the greater benefic, the zodiac. And wherever Jupiter travels is where we're going to be searching for a greater meaning in order to find, to understand, to truly derive meaning, and to sort of meet with God, whatever your belief in God is. And in order to give, a sort of a cohesiveness to your life, a faith in life. And so Jupiter spends one whole year in each sign, actually. And
Wow, a whole year.
yeah, so the sun, most people know their sun sign. The sun moves, there are 30 degrees in each sign. So the sun moves 1 degree a day. So every 30 days, the sun changes sign. So that's why everybody knows their sun sign. You're born in August, you're a Leo. Late July to August, you're Leo. You're born in late January to towards the end of February, you're an Aquarius. But the other planets they move at varying degrees. And Jupiter, it takes it because it's one of the larger outer planets.
Right.
It moves slower, and it takes it one whole year to go through each sign. 12 years to cycle the zodiac, whereas it only takes the sun 1 year. And so for the past year, it's been in the water sign of Scorpio, which has to do with death and rebirth and digging down into the unconscious of what to face the things that we buried about ourselves. Scorpio is facing your own personal demons and having to overcome them, death and rebirth. Everything that it's the archetype of everything that we've pushed down, those unacceptable things about ourselves, jealousy, resentment, envy, desire to dominate, power struggles. We have to face all of that. And Jupiter, though it's a lofty planet, it looks for the best. It's optimistic. It looks for the best, and it wants to give. It's doing that in Scorpio, especially right as it's about to leave. But when Jupiter is in Scorpio, it has to go down into the mud and sort of clear all that out, so there can be a cleansing and a healing. And a couple of the themes that we've seen on a collective level, on an individual level, it does this in a certain area of everyone's life. But on the collective level, you had the whole, just a couple of examples, the whole Me Too thing and Time Out, that started to happen right as Jupiter went into Scorpio. And that's been a theme for the past year. Scorpio has to do with sex, and because it has to do with the death of the ego in a way, right? We have to face our shadow side in Scorpio in order to face our shadow side in order to, if only for a moment, have the death of the ego and to find that there's something there, that we're part of a much larger plan where we're connected at least to another person. So Scorpio has to do with sex, and to that extent where the true orgasm, you feel the death of the ego. So power struggles regarding sex, right? Those tend to those are Scorpio matter. So we've been dealing with that. Me Too, Times Out, the whole, the Kavanaugh thing was a good example of that. And then you can expect more of this when Jupiter goes into Sagittarius, because Sagittarius rules religion, but you had that story that broke a month or two ago about the priest, more sexual abuse with the priest. Had that story coming out, and so we've really had to look at the shadow side of ourselves on a collective level with Jupiter and Scorpio. And Jupiter and Scorpio has to do with crises. So Jupiter and Scorpio gives, but it's after a crisis and facing intense matters of an intense emotional nature, which brings those things up with us. And moving to Sagittarius, which is a fire sign and which is its home sign, it's going to be a whole different energy for the next year. It's going to be like a phoenix rising from the ashes, or a butterfly emerging from the cocoon, because Jupiter rules Sagittarius, and it's all about optimism, expansion, growth, confidence, faith, all those Jupiter things happening in a Jupiter sign. I'll go into more about that. What that's going to look like for us, like on a collective level, the themes that are happening on a collective level, but also, I'll give a brief example of how that can affect the 12 signs of the zodiac.
Right. So it sounds like there's going to be a lot of growth and opportunity that's coming into this new shift. And so if people have been looking for a block, removing blocks or certain things in their life, what you're saying basically is like, the universe has got your back.
It does have our back. That's Jupiter's job.
Right. And the universe always has our back, but knowing how certain placements or what energy is around does help you to know on, is it a right time to make this decision? Is it not the right time? Should I kind of pause? Should I do inward reflection? And those are some of the things that I've noticed that's beneficial for me, because as a vibrational healing coach, so if you're finding me for the first time, my name's Keshia Martin. I'm a vibrational healing coach. And one of the things that I do is I connect with energy, and I can be able to, feel like what other people's gifts and energy and things might be going on with. And energetically, when it's me, I've always had some challenges with like deciphering, especially when like the whole fear and flight feeling feels close to the same. And I'm like, okay, should I do it? Should I not do it? Should I speak up? It's like, then I'm like, forget it. I'm not doing anything. So what's been great for me is like meeting Lydia. This connectivity of understanding the other side has really helped me to say, okay, let me ground. all right now I need to do some inner healing, and oh, maybe, okay, it's not really what I'm thinking it is. There's nothing for me to be scared about. I can actually do this. And actually been able to have a lot more breakthroughs, because my experiences have been like seeing like the woo-woo stuff and then coming in connectivity with like these relationships or explosive environments. And I'm just like, okay, what am I supposed to do with it? And I think Lydia has had her share of laughs with me. Like, I don't know. Because I think like the other day there was I woke up at like 4 a.m. Right. So I'll share the story with you guys. So I wake up at 4 a.m. and I'm like, I don't want to be up. Like, why am I up? And then energetically, I feel like someone's thinking about me. And I'm like, I ain't thinking about that person. Apparently their name keeps crossing my head, so it must be that person that's going on with me. So I was just like, now in the past, I might have just started cord cutting and burning to like release myself from the whole thing. But this scenario,
diving in, it seems like diving in and looking at, what is this powerful emotion that's bubbling to the surface.
Exactly. That's exactly what happened. I ended up diving in. I said, all right, I'm not going to cord cut and burn yet. We won't set this on fire. Let me see what it is that I'm supposed to learn from this experience. We mentioned Venus retrograde, which is still going on. And then we mentioned
that was in Scorpio for the most part. So those two planets were bringing up the intensity, right?
Right.
Intensity. Yeah.
Okay. I'm glad she used the word intensity. Because then when you're dealing with like emotional things, you're just like, the intensity can go like, whoo, like super high.
Yeah.
And that's when you can either like really like crack under pressure, or if you've been hurt in the situation before, you can walk away. And never really know what it was you were supposed to learn out of the whole thing, or actually see something wonderful in the whole thing. And
that's totally Jupiter.
Yeah.
Totally cleaning that wound. That
right.
wound has to be brought to the light.
Right. And then vibrationally on an energetic level, right? I know better, because so if you don't clean the wound and you just leave the scar open, it's only going to get more infected. Or if you try to patch it up with a if you patch it up with a Band-Aid and never give it air, it doesn't do anything. You're going to have something else to look at later. So
that is a perfect analogy for like any planetary energy that's in Scorpio, especially something like Jupiter and then Venus retrograde. Something's festering down there. It's running, because it's the things that we try to hide, that we repress, that are actually running us, right?
Exactly.
So, take a look at this, clean it out, bring it to the light, and be done with it. Overcome this.
It's like having like a little like bumper or something, and you keep picking at it, and then it goes away, then it comes back, and then it goes away, and then it comes back.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So it's like you just have to keep. So one of the things that I experience, especially like when I'm helping folks, is that they say, well, that happened a long time ago. Hit like if you can relate. That happened a long time ago. I'm over it. I'm not even thinking about that. But it came up in a conversation today, So it's me listening. I'm like, okay, there's a fear. There's a past hurt here. Let me pick at the scab just a little bit and see what comes up out of the situation. Because, it's usually that one thing that we don't want to talk about that's holding our power. And when it holds our power, it keeps us from working in our levels of genius, and it keeps us from performing in our true light, And then what happens is you end up playing small and not really having it all. Like there's a lot of folks out there that want it. They actually want the whole gambit. They want the picket fence, not the picket fence, but they want the family, the love, the success. And they're not having it because there's certain blockages that are existing within their life,
And festering. No wonder.
What did you say?
The wound is festering.
Exactly. exactly. And
So
doing this has become the norm, not realizing, well, maybe, not realizing it's like kind of built into the shirt. You might have to like take it off and really kind of get it out,
yeah.
And so that's where the healing process comes in. That's where understanding the energetics and
Mhm.
the mechanics behind how all this works really comes into play. I don't know why my nose is itching. They have an old saying that somebody's talking or thinking about you, so they must be having a field day with me right now. I don't know whose mind I'm on, but oh my goodness. So, what is in store for 2018 November?
Well, I'm actually gonna just talk about like the next year as far as Jupiter and Sagittarius. So Jupiter enters Sagittarius November 8th, 2018. So next Thursday. Thursday. And it's gonna be there until December 2nd, 2019. And it's going to be working its magic in the sign of Sagittarius, which is the sign that it rules. So it's very comfortable in the sign of Sagittarius. It can flow freely. Jupiter can give. Jupiter wants to preserve and protect and lift you up, promote you, expand you, give you growth and expansion of consciousness. And Sagittarius is not blocked for the most part. It will be making some challenging aspects to some other planets throughout its time in Sagittarius, and that's more advanced astrology. But on the whole, like Jupiter loves being in Sagittarius. It loves giving. It loves promoting and giving confidence and faith and abundance and wisdom. Jupiter is really at its highest, at one of its highest levels. It's concerned with the social glue that holds everything together. And so it rules the law and the legal system and the higher courts like SCOTUS. And it's Jupiter is about seeing the big picture of life, right? Instead of seeing all these different parts, that's ordinarily how we look at things. It's being able to synthesize what we know into one larger whole, which gives us wisdom and allows us to make better judgments due to that. And it gives us an inner peace and calm and a righteousness. And that's Jupiter. So wherever you have Jupiter transiting in your horoscope, meaning that's where it's moving, Jupiter wants to protect you. It'll protect you as much as it can. What it can do would depend on what's going on in your chart individually and whatnot. But Jupiter protects you and gives to you as much as it can. And when you're having a really good Jupiter transit, it's like the road just rises up to meet you.
Okay. So
yeah.
what are some of the things that we can do to have a really good Jupiter transit? Because I'm sure some viewers might actually want to understand that. And is it like a one size fits all type thing or?
No, it's not. Everybody has a birth chart. And I just have your chart as an example here, Keshia. Everyone has a birth chart. All the planets, this is the zodiac right here. And all the planets, as they move along the ecliptic, they all land somewhere depending on the date, time, and birth of a person. And so that also sets up these number divisions here along the chart, which are called the houses. So wherever Jupiter is transiting, and this is advanced astrology, but wherever Jupiter is transiting, and whichever house, that's the area of life that Jupiter is going to support you. And so I'm going to give a general, give a general like guideline of what the different signs can expect. This is best understood. Like if anybody out there knows their rising sign already, look at your rising sign, which would be the sign on the first house. But I know a lot of people don't know their rising sign. If not, just go by your sun sign. Your sun sign, which is what most people read their horoscopes through. But for anybody that knows the rising sign, you should read from the rising sign. So, like for me, that would be an Aquarius. For Keshia, that would be, you have an Aries rising. Okay.
I have a Aries rising.
You're a late degree Aries rising.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So Jupiter, when I get to the 8th house, Jupiter will be spending most of its time there for the next year. I'll make sure to shout you out. And can I talk just before I get into the individual signs, just hit on like what we'll see on a collective level with Jupiter and Sag?
Yeah, we could do the collective levels, and then we can just kind of break down energy-wise what some of the things. I'll tap in and share some of that stuff, with them too.
Yeah. So just briefly on a worldwide level, because Jupiter rules expansion and growth and going beyond your comfort zone, it also rules foreigners. So expect a lot of talk about immigration. That's going to be a big one with Jupiter and Sagittarius. Jupiter rules foreigners, immigration, the law. So especially with Saturn and Capricorn, another sign and planet that have to do with law, formulating laws regarding immigration, a lot of issues regarding that. International relationships between nations will be highlighted on a world stage. International politics. Jupiter is about freedom. So freedom of, probably some issues regarding freedom of speech. There may be, because Jupiter rules the higher courts, there may be some stuff going on with the SCOTUS. Perhaps a new judge appointed. Jupiter is all global issues. It's promotion and spreading your message far and wide. So we'll probably see some advancements in like publishing, publicity, PR, promotion, social media, how to get yourself out there. Jupiter, because it rules getting your message out on a wider scale, it has a lot to do with the internet advancement in technology as well. Like the last 2 times Jupiter was in Sagittarius, one was in 1983 when we had the first mobile phone introduced, and then in 2007, which was the last time Jupiter was in Sag, the iPhone was introduced.
Oh, so somebody's into SaaS or software development. This is their time, is what you're telling me.
Absolutely. Planets in Jupiter tend towards advancements in technology and like globalization and being able to connect with a global audience.
Okay, so we can expect a lot more global activities versus just something residing here in the U.S., which is good for us to know, so that if we have an understanding that these things are to come, we can just be prepared on what some of the outcomes may be. A lot of times when we have big global shifts, a lot of folks don't like change, and then their reaction is just like, oh my God. Then we see like the 5 million Facebook threads and folks like really panicking because now we're like out of their comfort zone. So if you haven't, with this information being said, it gives us a heads up that there's going to be a lot of changing and transitions, and we just need to be able to be in our flow, being able to connect energetically and understand that, hey, this is a part of the flow. These things are supposed to happen. It's kind of here in the stars. What is it that we're supposed to gain out of it? What things make sense for humanity and what things don't? And not just based off the fact that it's a new change coming, but actually based on the fact that, is this actually going to benefit us in the long run? What is it that this person's really trying to say, versus what is it that's being, misconstrued or miscommunicated, and I think that will help us more, because there's so much energy behind some of the topics that come out that we see countries and like societies like in a big conflict, like ours, over change, and some of the changes aren't good, and some of them are actually for our benefit, but some bad things like healing, like when we're healing, I'm gonna go back to that analogy, like when we're healing, it's not always fun, like when I'm doing coaching sessions, sometimes it's not always fun because we have to touch on some of the pain points to get that release. But if we all realize that that the things are kind of moving in our favor, learning to allow these things to occur is what I'm being told here, right?
Yes, and Jupiter again, it's about the big picture, not so much about how is this going to affect me, but Jupiter is always looking for the greater good. How does this affect society as a whole? And you know, in some parts we may not understand it because we're looking at it from an individualistic point of view. But Jupiter looks for the greater good for everybody, and we don't always understand that. But it does, where it's happening, it does try to support more cohesion and balance for society as a whole.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the Taurus is
overall perspective, guys. More detached view of it. Okay. Yeah, also a couple more things. Jupiter rules travel, so we could have some innovations there. Like that could be space travel, somebody successfully moving on to Mars and living there. I don't know. Innovations in academia, because Jupiter rules higher education and philosophy and all those things. So there may be some new ways to get your degree, who knows? And yeah, so I'm ready to get into the signs.
You ready? All right, go ahead.
Okay. So I just wanted to show you guys, I'm going to be reading off of this, but this is what, again, that zodiac wheel divided into 12, and these are the 12 houses, and each sign is going to be, the houses are the different areas of life that things tend to happen in. So each house, each sign is going to be generally experiencing this in a different house. And you can use your sun sign, guys, but if you know your rising sign, it'll give you an even more accurate portrayal as well. So, yeah, let me start with Sagittarius. So for Sagittarius, it's going to be happening in the first house right here. So people with Sag rising, Sag sun, this is going to be like a true rebirth for you. A new you, because Jupiter's coming out of your 12th house in Scorpio, which was endings and dissolving. So Jupiter in the first house is going to be like a rebirth for you, an increase in confidence, an increase in your self-image, more energy, because Jupiter is your body, right? So more energy, more vitality, more initiative, more confidence in yourself. It is really a time to to get out there and to trust yourself and to start new things. And you'll find that people tend to be more helpful as well. And they're responding to the increase of confidence in you. So starting new things, getting out there to promote yourself. It's really going to be like Jupiter in the first house of self-image is really going to be, is really a great transit. And it's just a new beginning full of possibilities. And it's time to set intentions for the next 12 years as Jupiter goes through your whole chart again, as it goes through the whole zodiac. You know, what is it that I would advise you when Jupiter goes into Sagittarius on November 8th, start setting those new intentions. What do you want? And Jupiter will, there will help you get there. It'll help to support your goals. For Jupiter, for Scorpio, I'm going to go backwards here. That's going to be happening in your second house of money and resources and values and possessions. And Jupiter's going to help you there. It's going to help you.
Yay.
Material wealth, material gain. And most importantly, like the second house is what you value, but also the value that you give yourself. And that directly correlates to how much money you earn and how much money you have. So Jupiter is gonna, like the second house is our substance. So Jupiter there is gonna help to increase your self-esteem and your ability to manifest more wealth for yourself. And it's also your value system. So Jupiter transiting through the second house, it's going to help you sort of decide with the more clear head, what are my values? What do I value in life? Most importantly, do I value myself? So yeah, that's a lot of help in the material realm there. Opportunities to use more, to make more money, good time for investments. And you know, as long as Jupiter isn't as long as it's not making too many harsh aspects, like your judgment will tend to be good there. So yeah, that's awesome for you guys. Then we have Libras, and it's going to be happening in your third house there. The third house is the house of how you think and communicate and interact with your everyday environment. It's commerce. So you're going to have, so they're going to, you're thinking and communicating, like you're going to be able to think on a larger scale. Like remember, Jupiter is cohesiveness, understanding the big picture. So you'll be able to think at a more elevated level, and you'll be able to communicate like this greater understanding you have much more easily. Jupiter, third house is your contact. So you'll be able to increase your contacts and associates that you can do business with, because the third house also has to do with business. It has to do with business and commerce, and in the third house there may be a chance, because Jupiter in Sagittarius, remember, it rules foreign things, so there may be a chance for foreign business contacts, foreign business opportunities. And you may decide, the third house is also, you know, what we learn. You may decide to learn something new. And it can also be traveling. Third house has to do with traveling. So you could find that you're traveling more. This is a great, because the third house has to do with communication, talking, writing, spreading your message. If you're a writer, this could be a great time for you to get published, just so you know. Because Jupiter
Oh, book is published. Yeah. But that's not my sign.
Yeah, you have some. So Jupiter is doing something in your chart if you've been published.
Okay.
Yeah, that's Jupiter, that's Mercury, something's going on there. As far as that. Also, the third house is like your relatives, your siblings and cousins. So your relationship with them should be improved, and better. If you already have a good relationship with them, it'll be better. And you can gain through your relatives, because your relationship tends to be so good with them over the next year. And also, I just want to go back to Scorpio, second house. I forgot when I said investments. You might want to look into like foreign investments. That could, because it's Jupiter, and Jupiter rules foreign things, global things. So look there. So for Virgo, this would be happening in your fourth house. All my Virgos out there. And fourth house is the house of home. Fourth house is the house of home and family and our domestic life. And it's our sense of security, where we think security, and it's also our inner security, and it's our past. So Jupiter there, I like Jupiter through the fourth house. This could be a good time to purchase real estate. And it would come to be beneficial for you since it's Jupiter transiting through that house. You could purchase a land or home. Jupiter is big, expansion. So you could redecorate your home, make your home bigger, remodel, maybe buy a bigger home. It's also supportive of your domestic life. Your family life should be more smooth. This is a time that you want to focus on your domestic life. The fourth house, because it has to do with family and the moon, it also could indicate pregnancy for those of you that are trying to get pregnant. Jupiter through the fourth house would be like, could indicate that. And again, your family would be a sense of comfort for you throughout the next year. If you've had some issues with your family, then Jupiter through the fourth house would help to improve that situation. And you may decide to, like, Jupiter through the fourth house would be a good, because it's your family, it rules your lineage. So, you may decide to, like, study your ancestry, get more information about that. And there's also Jupiter in the fourth house also provides an inner security. Like, the fourth house has to do with, like, some of the deepest parts of us. That part you access when you meditate. So, you put down roots with your family, but you also are able to root yourself when Jupiter goes through the fourth house. You may buy foreign land as well. That's another way that could manifest. And for all my Leos out there, Jupiter will be going through your fifth house. Yeah. So the fifth house is actually it's similar to the sign of Leo. It's the area of fun, of creativity, of love and romance, and our creations, including our children. So Jupiter through the fifth house, I really like. Jupiter through the fifth house is growth in your creative expression, like not being afraid to express who you really are, authentic self-expression. You share you're more ready to share your talents with others. Jupiter in the fifth house could just, like, have all these creative ideas. It's like a factory, and you're just putting them out there. It's time. Jupiter in the fifth house wants you to shine, wants you to share your talents and to shine for your unique self, your individuality, right? Because Leo fifth house is very creative. And your creations could also be children. So that could be pregnancy. It's similar to the fourth house in that sense. So if you're looking to get pregnant, you may give birth when Jupiter is transiting through your fifth house. Is a positive relationship with your children is indicated when Jupiter is transiting through the fifth house. Especially with the fifth house is especially the first child. So, and again, your creations, they may be your physical children, but it's also the creations of your mind, right? Okay. You can make money with your creativity and your talents. They can be promoted and spread far and wide, because Jupiter is promotion and getting yourself out there. Nice. A lot of people. If you're creative, like something like creativemarket.com, like the fifth house, if you have Leo on the fifth house, that would be like being a graphic designer and putting your stuff on Creative Market and like making money through that. Okay. Jupiter, fifth house is also like money through speculation. So like gambling, the stock market, like you could make money through that. Just be wise about it. Don't overdo it. That's always a danger with Jupiter, because Jupiter is about growth and expansion. We can grow and expand too much. We can be overconfident. Gotcha. Fifth house is also love and romance, love affairs and romance. It's the house of true love. So if you're looking for somebody, like
I give up sometimes.
Jupiter can help you find it. Jupiter can help you find it. It really can. Yeah, and then the person that you get involved with, because Jupiter, it's such a spiritual planet. Jupiter is a spiritual planet because it's about the whole. So Jupiter also rules gurus and just people that we can learn from. So you could end up in a love relationship with somebody that you learn a lot from, and they could be from a foreign background, foreign country, or someone just from a different background than you are. And Jupiter through the fifth is just increased self-assurance. So that sounds like a lot of fun.
It does. Sounds like a lot of work. A lot of good fun stuff.
Really so then, for my Cancers out there, it's going to be going through, Jupiter is going to be transiting through your sixth house of work, daily routine, and our responsibilities, service, health. And Jupiter through this house, like the sixth house is really like your everyday routine. Where most people spend their time is actually the sixth house. And Jupiter transiting through here will actually support a good, healthy lifestyle. Jupiter is a healing energy, so it'll give increased energy and vitality. And if you've had any like health problems with Jupiter, it can help to alleviate them or cure them. I like Jupiter through the sixth house. I like Jupiter anywhere. It's a nice, Jupiter is a very giving, fun planet. So I like Jupiter anywhere, but I like it through the sixth house. At work, you'll find that you may get like work is fulfilling. Like you're doing work that you find fulfilling, like your job situation could improve, your working conditions could improve, you got better relationships with your coworkers, sixth house is coworkers, you get better pay at your job, you may travel for work, and Jupiter through the sixth house can give you like, you're satisfied with your work, but a certain pride in your work. And if you do a job well, if you put in effort, and with Jupiter, you don't even have to put in a lot of effort, but just a decent amount of effort, like Jupiter will reward you for that. Nice. And sixth house is also pet, so you might get a new pet, or there may be blessings for your pet. And sixth house can also be debts, so Jupiter can help relieve them or relieve you of some responsibility.
Nice.
Mm-hmm. So then for my Geminis out there, Jupiter is going to be going through your seventh house of partnerships, and it's a little different from the fifth house, which is like love affairs and romances and dating. Seventh house is more like committed one-on-one long-time partnerships that you're in. So it's those personal one-on-one relationships, Gemini, and not just marriage or like your long-term partner and spouse. It's also business relationships. It's relationships with close friends. And Jupiter is going to help improve that area for you. So you can see an improvement in your marriage. And if you've already got a healthy marriage or long-term partnership, then Jupiter will make it even better. It'll help improve that. And for people that are single and are looking for someone, Jupiter can really help there. It'll bring you someone. And this could be a long-term partnership. Seventh house is long-term, more serious partnerships. And also, you can also see breakups with Jupiter through the seventh house, but it's a breakup that's healthy. So if people have, because Jupiter is freedom and healing. So if people are in an unhealthy relationship, Jupiter through the seventh house could give you the confidence to leave that, and go out on your own and to recover from that. So that would be a blessing in that sense. It can offer, Jupiter in the seventh house brings other people to like help you, because seventh house is, it's opposite the first house. Hold on, let me show you guys just like what I'm referring to. So now Jupiter, the seventh house is opposite the first house. So the first house is ourselves, our own body. Seventh house is other people. It's really fun how astrology works like that. But seventh house is other people. So other people can bring you opportunities. You can have a good business partnership with Jupiter going through the seventh house. If you're looking for that. Seventh house is contract. So contracts tend to work out in your favor. Also, if you start dating, again, you could date a foreigner or someone from a different background or like religion, or you could end up traveling.
Wait a minute, they can't be the same as Leo with that, because we don't need a Leo meeting another Gemini.
I would say no more Gemini.
No more Gemini.
I don't think you're going to meet a Gemini. Just that's not what it means. That's not what it means. I remember what you told me. Yeah,
in a minute.
Yeah, and so again, someone you'll learn with. It's sort of like the fifth house, Leo, what I was talking about. Yeah, the desire to be in a relationship, it can bring that, and then it'll bring somebody for you. And you can, so one-on-one relationships are seventh house. That can also be a counselor. So you can, like, if you've been looking for counseling of some sort, you can find counseling that can be helpful, or counsel that can be helpful from someone else. There was something I had in here that sort of slipped my mind, but I can't remember. So I'll move on. But Jupiter through the seventh house. Seventh house is the lower courts. So like if you have a civil suit going on, then Jupiter through the seventh house will tend to give you a favorable outcome. And contracts tend to work in your favor. I might have said that already, but.
Okay.
And seventh house is clients, your one-on-one clients. So if you're someone who's looking to increase your clientele, Jupiter through the seventh house can do that.
Gotcha.
Okay. And then I'm going to go into Taurus here, and Taurus is going to be Taurus. This is going to be happening in your eighth house. Now, because I know Keshia, you want to listen to this. Because I know Keshia's exact birth chart here. I know exactly when Jupiter is going to be moving through what house. So Jupiter is actually starting to transit your eighth house, and it will be there for like the next year, because you have. This is kind of advanced astrology. I don't want to get too down into it. Yeah. So you want to listen to this. So Jupiter, so the eighth house is opposite the second house of like my resources and my talents and values. Well, the eighth house is what you share with another. And it's another person's resources. It's other people's resources and what you share with what you share with another person. The eighth house is similar to Scorpio in that it's where we bury everything that we don't want to deal with. It's that house of death and rebirth and facing the shadow, right? It has to do with sex again, the ego, death, and deep bonding. And so Jupiter moving through the eighth house can be coming into money from other people. So you might get an inheritance. Somebody will help you with their resources. Other people can just give you money. Jupiter through the eighth house can give you like a loan or a grant. And in cases with very excellent aspects, and it would have to be other stuff going on in the chart as well, but that can be winning the lottery.
Oh, so I need to put some tickets.
Everybody has Jupiter going through their eighth house at some point.
Good time to sit down and manifest everything that's rain.
Actually, you know what? You do have what's called a grand trine, which is a really good configuration.
What?
You do have something called, when Jupiter goes through your eighth house. Can you hear me?
Uh-huh.
When Jupiter goes through your eighth house, it's actually going to be making what's called a grand trine, which is a really lucky aspect. But I'll tell you when that's going to happen. That would be
you tell me one-on-one. We don't have to let the viewers. That's juicy information. They can sign up.
So you never know. Again, business Jupiter through the eighth house can give profitable business partnerships where you can pool your money and resources with someone else. It's a very psychological house because it's where we bury our shadow and where we come to face our shadow. And so there can be like you can grow to have a deep psychological understanding of yourself with Jupiter through the eighth house. It's also what's hidden. Jupiter, the eighth house is one of the houses that has to do with seeing beyond the veil of this world, of this reality, and sort of seeing into another veil. So it can bring on mysticism, study of the occult, and it's about the eighth house. It's what's hidden from us. So it's about learning, because Jupiter is learning and growing. It's about growing in that area. Eighth house tends to be crisis oriented. So it's sort of like Jupiter going through Scorpio, like I said earlier. Jupiter will give, but there'll be high emotional intensity to it where you're, and this is a good thing. We all have to go. It's a healing. It's a very healing experience. And it can be like a spiritual rebirth in some ways.
Oh.
And if you made any investments, you might, like Jupiter through the eighth house, will start giving you a return on those.
Nice.
Improved money situation, similar to the second house. You can get a big payout some way. How much that is would have to be like indicated in an individual's birth chart, but You get some cushion. You get some cushion. And it can also be, it has to do with, okay, Jupiter through the 8th house can really affect your sex life in a positive way. 5th house has to do with like love and romance and sex, but like 8th house is like deep Kundalini awakening sex. So you could get some of that with Jupiter going through your 8th house, like deep in intimacy, because it's where we're totally, where the ego dies and we're totally vulnerable. And also the 8th house has to do with death and birth as well, so that could be connected to a pregnancy of some sort.
I enjoyed this conversation with the pregnancy so much.
Different houses that
a birthing of a or how I interpret it also is like with the Kundalini and your awakening process, it's a death of your old. So when you're transforming, one of the things I work with people on is that transformation of moving you from one spot to the next and getting you out.
That's never easy for us.
No, not at all. You're changing the mindset. People think that because you're going through the spiritual process that it's all easy, or you're spiritual, you're always positive, but the behind the scenes real isn't always all that,
because the ego doesn't like that. The ego,
no, and it goes down like a savage. It's like, ha.
The 8th house is where we have to face some
definitely
out of control ego tendencies that we don't want to look into. So we're almost there, guys. So we did Taurus. So now I'm going to do Aries. Aries people, Aries risings and Aries sun to a lesser extent. This is going to be happening in your 9th house, and that is the house of the higher mind, belief systems and philosophies, and higher education and travel. And so Jupiter in the 9th house feels very comfortable because it's got a lot of the same meaning as Jupiter. So Jupiter through the 9th house is where the 9th house is your belief system, the higher mind, the right side of the mind, and it's your confidence and faith in life. And so Jupiter through the 9th house just gives you a confidence and an understanding and like a confidence in spirit and God, and just knowing that just a strong belief in yourself and in God and in the universe. And it's just like that's reflected out in the world because doors just seem to like open from you. You get you understand, like it gives you a wider perspective and an understanding of the whole, the big picture of things. And so from that, Jupiter gives an inner wisdom and an inner calm and just good judgment overall. And you'll have a lot of opportunities to expand your mind, right? Because the 9th house is the higher mind. So Jupiter wants you to grow beyond what you used to be, because you're coming out of the 8th house, which was the house of death and rebirth. And now you're like a butterfly out of the cocoon. So you're going out there to see a larger world, and you're going to get the chance to do this through, you may have opportunities for travel to foreign lands. You may get into some kind of college program or some kind of advanced studies program where you'll be able to gain more knowledge. 9th house specifically tends to be like, it's higher education, but it's also more abstract subjects. So like metaphysics, religion, philosophy, spirituality, you may decide to dive into those as well. Even if you've never had an interest in those things, Jupiter through the 9th house can help to develop an interest in that. And remember, Jupiter is also the guru, and 9th house is our gurus. And so you may meet someone who can be a teacher to you, like a guru to you, and give you this mystical and religious understanding. And it doesn't have to be they don't have to be some mystical teacher. There's a saying that everyone is a guru. They all have something to teach us, but you'll be more aware of this with Jupiter going through the ninth house. And Jupiter in the ninth house is Jupiter and the ninth house relate to publishing and publicity. So there may be a chance for you to again be published or to get yourself out there to a wider global audience.
Okay.
Yeah, and Jupiter through the ninth house, because the ninth house and Jupiter rule and Sagittarius all rule the higher mind. And so there could be times when, like, it's associated with prophecy. Jupiter is associated with prophecy and being prophetic. So it can put you in tune with like put you in tune with the collective and like what's coming, because Jupiter is very future oriented.
For the Aries.
Right, for Aries people. Okay. And then so we did Aries, and now we're on to Pisces. Pisces, this is happening for you in your 10th house. That's the very top of the chart. And the 10th house has to do with our career, our reputation, our social status. It's what we become out in the world, right? Because it's opposite the 4th house of the family and home. So this is what we do out in the world. It's our reputation, our status. And for you, Pisces, you're going to see some advancements in your career. You can get a promotion, more recognition. Jupiter and the transiting through the 10th house, you can see the culmination and the manifestation of some career goal that you've been working for, and the recognition for that. And again, with Jupiter, you just have to make a reasonable effort. Jupiter will like lift you up and help you. Jupiter in the 10th house gives you more confidence out in the world, and in your abilities related to your career. Your social status like maybe bumped up in some way, or changed to be more, to offer you more freedom and to be more reflective of who you truly are. You may have to deal with foreign contacts in your career. You may have to travel due to your career. And it would be for good. Jupiter is for good. It would be travel that you enjoy doing for your career. Also, Jupiter through the 10th house, I think I said it can free you from a career that's no longer fitting for you, where you can make the choice to leave a career. I'm coming out of a 10th house Jupiter transit, so I saw that as well this past year. You may change your career field to something Jupiterian. So that could be, you could take up a religious vocation. You can go into the law. Jupiter rules lawyers and judges. Higher education. You might go into something having to do with philosophy and metaphysics and spirituality, politics, charity, finance, travel, publishing, PR, international commerce, philanthropy. Those are all Jupiter related careers. And authority figures, you might come into benevolent authority figures as well. 2 more signs, guys. Okay, so next we have Aquarius. Aquarius, this is going to be happening in your 11th house. And the 11th house is the house of hopes, goals, wishes, friends, and groups. And the 11th house is what you get from the 10th house. Like the 10th house is your career. The 11th house is the rewards that you get from your career. So Jupiter in the 11th house, Jupiter actually really loves being in the 11th house. Because Jupiter can help you to fulfill your hopes and goals and wishes. And Jupiter, so the 11th house is opposite the 5th house where we share our talents, right? Well, the 11th house is the audience for those talents. So if you're out here trying to find clients or an audience or a following, Jupiter through the 11th house will support you in that, because it wants you to, the 11th house has to do with the collective. So it wants you to share, and Jupiter has to do with the collective as well. So it wants you to share with your talents, those 5th house talents, with a greater number of people. And it wants to help you, get out there. And you'll also, the 11th house is also the house of friends and of friends and organizations and associates, and Jupiter there means you'll get help through those people. So you might find that you meet people with a lot of status or a lot of influence, because Jupiter can have a lot of influence, who can help you reach your goals.
Nice.
Right? Yes, good things happening to your friends means good things will be happening to you, because they'll help you if Jupiter is going through your 11th house. Rewards from your career, recognition for what you've done and what you've contributed to the greater whole. 11th house is a collective house, so it wants you to be involved in the community and in organizations and in groups. As when Jupiter is transiting through your 11th house, you want to give to others, because the more you give to others, the more there is that will be given to you.
Right.
So it's really about no man is an island, and just getting out there and sharing your gifts with the greater world. Yeah, and affluent connections, I mentioned that. And Jupiter in the 11th house, it'll help you expand your social reach, it'll heighten your social cash, as they say.
Nice.
That's a nice house to have Jupiter transiting through. And so lastly, we go to Capricorn and the 12th house at the very end of the chart, the house of endings and disappearings, but Jupiter there that's a good thing. And for my Capricorns, for Capricorn rising, or people with signs in with people with planets in Capricorn, like these next couple of years, let me tell you, there's a lot going on in Capricorn. A lot of transformative stuff happening. It's too deep for me to get into on right now, but Capricorns, you guys are going through a lot of people with Capricorn planets. And so Jupiter here is welcome before it heads into Capricorn 2019 to 2020. So it's going to be going through your 12th house of endings. And the 12th house is the area of the unconscious. It's of our unconscious. It's the area of letting go. It's what's behind the veil, the collective unconscious, where everything in the physical world is manifest from. It's where we go to connect with that world, to connect with the collective. It has to do a great deal to do with spirituality and pleasures and distant lands. And it does have to do with far away travel, but also travel like through meditation, that kind of travel where you go to like different worlds and different galaxies. So it's a very spiritual house, and it's where we go to retreat and to end in the outer world, get away from the outer world. And Jupiter here going through your 12th house is about cleaning out, because next year it's going to be going into your first house of new beginnings. So Jupiter in the 12th house is about cleaning out that which is no longer needed. Those unhealthy self-undoing habits that you've had, Jupiter will gently help you to clear those out, and it will gently help to heal you. And Jupiter through the 12th house, you're able to, like, you have a greater connection to the unconscious, the hidden world, the psychic, spiritual world, because Jupiter in the 12th house tends to lessen the boundaries of the ego. And so if you have any interest at all in spirituality and getting into that and getting in touch with that part of yourself, and Jupiter will definitely help you. And transcendental meditation will be like and channeling, those will be Jupiter in the 12th house things. Psychic impressions. Psychic impressions, a study of metaphysics and the occult. It's similar to the 8th house in that way. And any fears and resistance and self-defeating behaviors, again, can be let go of when Jupiter goes through the 12th house. It's a clearing out. And the 12th house also has to do with escaping from the world. It actually has to do with the womb, our time in the womb, and how it's like the womb of the collective as well. And so when we have Jupiter going through the 12th house, we tend to like going away to places where we can get away. So it rules like traveling for pleasure to foreign lands. And again, meditation will be a form of traveling, but like pampering ourselves, so going to like places like spas and going for massages. Sex to an extent is also has to do with the 12th house, really pleasurable sex. Creativity, because it's the house of the collective. So Jupiter through the 12th house can really help you tap into that collective and bring those ideas out of it and for manifestation in the real world. Yeah, it's real. And vivid dreams also. Vivid dreams. Jupiter in the 12th house can give you vivid dreams. You can learn a lot from your dreams. You actually have this position natally in your birth chart, Keshia.
Oh, Capricorns?
Well, you have Jupiter in the 12th house.
Okay, okay. Oh, so mine's is
So
similar to
you
that.
live with this all
Okay.
your life.
Oh, makes sense.
Makes sense, right?
Yeah, and you're like, okay, it looks like I got to target some Capricorns next year.
Capricorn,
We help them get to their levels of ascension and find their gifts.
you go through this your whole life, and any transits that you have through your 12th house like activates this. So
Oh, okay, okay.
yeah, and so yeah, that's the house of letting go and endings for Capricorn before Jupiter moves into your first house when it goes into Capricorn next year.
Okay.
And that's Jupiter for the next year, and the signs. A very general view, guys. Like I would have to see your birth chart to do the most accurate reading. But that is like a general overview. You can
What's
use
your website?
sign, but rising sign, guys. If you know your rising sign, go by that. My website is www.thetruestnorth.com. My email is thetruestnorth@gmail.com. My IG is @thetruestnorth. My Twitter is Lydia's True North, LYDIAS True North, Lydia's True North. And my Facebook page is The Truest North. So
Okay. So I was able to grab the website and just share the @thetruest north. So if you guys are trying to find like a more intimate detail of where you stand with your astrology sign, then definitely hit her up because it definitely gives you a clear guidance of where things are with the signs and energetically for you. Okay. It's helped me immensely with understanding how things are, what's going on the outside, especially as she mentioned with several of the things that goes on with me is that with where my positioning is in each house, you know, whether it's the seventh house, eighth house, ninth house, whatever, that there's something going on and kind of gives me a guidance of where to actually focus at this time. And that is so key, especially if you've been on a spiritual process. So those signs that have received the information that, hey, you know, it's the time to prosper. It's the time that maybe you can take those little splurges with finances. You can, it's a good time to be spiritual or find that love in your life. And you're seeing that there's these gaps. And you're like, I don't believe any of that stuff she's saying, then you definitely need to hear what I'm saying right now, because it's through experiences, I know that it's a real deal thing, you know, that I'm very sensitive to energy. And there's many of you out there that are listening to this that are empaths, meaning like you've been somewhere. Think of a time you've been in a room and when you walked into the room, you're like, I don't know if this really feels right for me, or if or oh wow, I met this person, I really like them, and you're like completely like drawn to the situation. So when you're doing things like that, it's just a sign that that you're actually already in tune, you know. And I'm not teaching you something brand new, but I'm just opening up your mind to realize where you are and how the energy is actually connected within all of us, you know. Now, if you're having a hard time connecting with all of this stuff, you can hit myself up, which can help you break this logic out, you know? So as you're receiving all this wonderful information from this lady right here, you can also connect with myself to help figure out, well, how do I use my energy? How do I connect to the divine source and things like that? So it's really important because we've been taught so many negative things, or we've been taught to believe only what we see.
Oh, goodness. Yeah. And that is just a tiny portion, guys.
Of
Like
what
our
it
eyes,
is.
the body's eyes actually filter out. It picks up like a minuscule amount of the light that is actually there.
Exactly.
So it's scientific. But yeah, it's what we see is just minuscule in this world. I mean, there is a whole other world out there.
Oh, there is. And if you're uncertain, I actually wrote a book. So some of you guys who know me knows that I've written a book. Miss Lydia, her song copy. And my book really breaks down exactly what we're speaking about, allows you to put all this stuff together. So if you're still sitting on the fence, because I'm aware of who my audience is, so I have to speak like this because I understand that they might have their hesitation and wondering, all right, what is this stuff? And they're kind of scared. They're like little turtles. It comes out. They're like pop on live and they leave, and they pop on live and then they come back, and they'll wait till they see one of us in public and we're like, oh, by the way, but get the book because the book will really break down the how this happened, but then you'll also get the insights of channeled messages. And I shared a couple of the words with Lydia.
Yeah. Powerful stuff, guys. Powerful. It's back what you channeled backed up what I've read in other spiritual texts as well, that understanding of oneness, like that understanding of oneness and the truth of it. So yes.
Right. And thank you. And I share with you as I was going through my journey. So it's not just like how I'm speaking right now, but it's going through the motions. You're going to see what it's like, because if you're going through this shift, this ascension, especially the ones who are going to have this big kraken of awakening, because Jupiter is now shifting in your houses, it's very essential for you to understand like daily or weekly, how is this going to affect me? That's where Lydia comes in, and then see, how do I deal with the emotion? That's where Keshia comes in. Okay. And how to deal with the well, Lydia does a great job of doing that too, but I'll help you break past what's stopping you on the inside, so that way you can actually achieve your goals. So I'm going to post a link for where the book is on my site, and then you can just grab that. And but definitely hit if you have questions, please DM below, so that way we can answer them for you. And we're going to keep on sharing this information because it's important. There's so much hurt and pain going out there right now where people are confused and they don't know exactly what to do with their life, And it's not really a financial thing, because some folks can have it all together, but then they're still having those missing pieces. Like they want that love, or they want that that synergy, or maybe there's just stuff inside their life that they decided that they put away, but it's still, they're not happy.
Yeah.
And I find that these things are very helpful, more than just entertainment, because I think a lot of folks look down at astrology thinking, oh, it's just an entertainment thing, not realizing. Yeah, exactly.
When you were saying earlier, like about how you help people like do the groundwork. Like, so astrology is about reflects archetypes, universal archetypes that live in all of us, right? Mythology will actually help you learn about those archetypes that live within us as well. But astrologers are able to see the cycles of the archetypes that are being called forth in each of our lives at certain points in time. So that's what I'm able to do. You're being called to do this. And Keshia really helps you with her energy work, do the groundwork to actually achieve that.
Exactly. Yeah. Maybe we can do a show on archetypes
I would love that. I would love that.
Yeah,
I would focus more on that actually. And
yeah.
work. Oh yeah.
Okay, all right, we got a new lineup. Ooh, ooh. Oh, we have to make it fun because at the end of the day, you know what? We all are in this life thing together and
Mhm.
figuring things out. And each of us have this level of like if you're trying to still find your passion, finding your know-how, then all of these tools help you. Or maybe you're already in your passion, but you want to take things to another level. There's all of this stuff helps, and no matter how much you know, putting these pieces together helps unlocks the bigger puzzle. So. Lydia, it was been fun. I've learned a lot, and I got to see that it's not just like a transition. Like I realized there's a lot of synchronicity between the different signs, especially between the fire, the water, and the earth
Oh
signs.
yes,
You
yes,
notice
yes.
that whichever is the fire signs, a lot of us had like very similar activations versus the next. I don't know if anybody else noticed that, but as I'm listening, I'm like, okay, that's that's interesting. Like
Mhm,
the
mhm.
other fire signs like me are kind of similar, and then the other ones are kind of like
Oh
this
yes, yes, yes. The signs of the same element have a lot of
similarity,
similarities.
synchronicity. Yeah,
Yeah, similarities and
I
synchronicity.
know.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So
The
that's very cool.
um, earth, water, air, and they all have to do with different psychological needs. Like fire
Right.
are the Aries, Leo, and Sag. That they have to do with um, finding like being able to express the identity. The identity, particularly in Aries, it's being able to to go out and Aries is about going out and establishing your one's identity. Leo is about expressing that identity through creativity, and Sagittarius is about um, learning what is my identity because it's ruled by Jupiter. What is my identity in relation to the greater scheme of things, in relation to the universe, in relationship to God? So yeah,
Okay.
all signs are about identity, and
One.
earth signs are about have to do with the material world, um, and air signs have to do with the intellect and abstract ideas, and water signs have to do with emotion, um, and empathy and compassion. And so yeah, they all have similarities.
Yeah, I
You know,
noticed that.
they follow a certain state, like they follow a certain there's different stages of that same need.
Gotcha.
Fire all has a different fire has a certain need, but the signs are the different stages of that. So it's
Oh yeah.
really interesting.
Yeah, it is. It's fascinating how they, it's like we're all a collective and we're all
Mhm.
connected inter some way. And when you hear like all of them like that individually, and then you kind of
Mhm.
group it by that, you really get to see that each of us have our own role to play. Just like the human body, like the head has its thing, the hands have their function, and every other body part has their function and how they stay in their role. So
Mhm.
this was really great. And it's like we all play our role in society, considering how each thing
Yes,
next year
yes,
is supposed to roll out and the publicity and the global changes.
yeah.
It's going to be a fascinating 2019 and watching how we all, like really step into our power and really. I love it. I love it. Did you have anything else to add, Lydia?
Oh, that's it. I just did Jupiter. There are actually 10 planets, guys, that astrologers pay attention to, plus certain asteroids, and all that has to be synthesized in one's individual chart. Like you have to see how the planets are talking to each other, what houses they're transiting through. So this was just a brief guide on Jupiter, but I wanted to hit on Jupiter because Jupiter is where we find grace and support in life. Um, it's where we're going to be blessed. And Jupiter in Sagittarius is very strong, and it gives. So I wanted to touch on the significance of that. Yeah.
Okay, that sounds good. Well, honey, it's been a wonderful time with you today. I'm going to say goodbye to the group. um, So guys, if please, if you when you watch this, even if you catch the replay, because we did do a little bit later than we intended to do today, but it's all good. So whenever you guys come on, please leave any questions, comments, and also share. If there might, you never know who might actually benefit from information like this, and they might not even realize it's a thing that they have or a challenge that they're going through, but they just know that that once they hear it, it might be that one aha moment that gives them the solution to
Mm.
whatever they may be facing right now. So, love, peace, and hair grease, all of y'all. And I will see you guys again the next time.